To think according to appearances is easy, but to think truth despite circumstances, it's the hardest work in the world. These are famous last words that are spoken by Wallace Wattle inside his book, Chapter 4, The Science of Getting Rich. And I have to agree with him. And even Neville mentions in The Power of Awareness that, we have to deny our senses. We have to persist in, using our imagination to live from the end that our wishes are fulfilled and that we are this new concept of ourself despite what the outside world is saying to us. And often that can be so challenging when the outside circumstances are, of course, not meeting our expectations. Welcome back. It's Tanya here, Tanya Pluckrose. I'm the lady that's all about helping you master your mind so you can master your life. And today I really dwelled on these famous last words by Wallace Wattle as I was let down by a prospective buyer for my car. Those of you who are new to my channel, a very warm welcome. And for those of you who are regulars, thank you for your company. I have been sharing my journey along the way over the last few months about me immigrating back to Australia. I've been living here in Vegas for 4.5 years, but I'm in the process of moving back to Australia. And of course, moving back requires me to let go, release, and possibly leave behind a car. I have to leave it behind because in Australia they drive on the other side of the road. So I'm not taking my car with me. So I'm in the process of selling it. And I got so excited today because I had a prospective buyer. And I was to meet him at a local grocery store just to keep safe. And I let him know an hour before. I arrived on time, and then there were crickets. And I'm so grateful. I'm actually so grateful it happened because it helped me really go back to the boardroom of my mind, to go back into my imagination, and of course, get back into the state of my wishes fulfilled. Because you have to remember that we have to pass the persistent test for a little while until the outside matches our new train of thinking, okay? So I had to, first of all, this is what I did. I revised it on the spot. I didn't take it personally. I revised it on the spot in my imagination that he had showed up and that he loved my car and he'd made an offer and I'd agreed. So I used my imagination to turn the situation around using revision, because Neville says we should do that every single night. And the more we can revise our days, I do it throughout the day when something isn't going right, but he highly recommends in his book, The Pruning of the Shears, that's the chapter you'll find it in, that we should be revising our days, especially the parts that did not go to our liking. So I revised the situation on the spot, imagined it. I also was able to pivot into my higher version of myself. So I actually have written out a whole new self-image script. And if anyone would like help writing out this self-image script, I do have a course below that you can do. And I'm happy to jump on a call just to outline the course if you need more details so that I can help you go through the course. So anyway, I then quickly pivoted into my higher version of myself. And I went to the end, and all I did was ask myself some very powerful questions like, well, what would she be saying about this right now? How would she be feeling? What would she be doing right now if, based on this? So I I went to the higher version of myself because I noticed I took a dip in the valley where I noticed my frequency drop because the outside circumstances were not to my liking. He didn't show up. And so I noticed it drop. And so I had to pivot. And Neville even says it's so important that we respond rather than react. And if you can respond and quickly pivot and get back on the horse, get back in the driver's seat, you are then not a plaything to future circumstances of a similar nature happening to you. So I was able to pivot and ask my higher self, well, what would she say or do right now? And of course, all I heard was, drive, baby, drive away. Leave the scene. You've waited long enough. He's not showing up now. Quickly now, gather up your belongings and drive away. And of course, I didn't allow myself to stay in that state of struggle, that state of victimhood. Because you've got to understand that we all are living in a house with many, many rooms. And each room has what I call a state of being within it. And this state of a room is based on the way you are thinking, and whatever you're thinking, the external circumstances match that current way of thinking inside that room. So I noticed I was in the basement, and I wasn't going to stay in the basement. No way. I quickly pivoted to another room. I like to call it the penthouse, but I went straight to the penthouse, and I was able to ask myself, well, in this state, in this particular room, how would she be thinking about the situation? How would she be feeling? And how would she behave? And that's what I did. I quickly asked her, well, what would she be thinking? Oh, well, too bad, too sad. You missed out on a great deal. Too bad, too sad. See you later. I felt empowered. I'm like, get back on your horse. You're the prize, Tanya. You don't wait for anyone who runs for, 10 minutes late after you've, been very courteous in the exchange, in the experience. And of course, I then drove off. So I'm just relaying to you right now a live event, a true demonstration that happened to me a couple of hours ago. And I wanted to actually illustrate what I did in the moment when the outside circumstances were happening to me, because I could have gone down the rabbit hole. Because remember, it's easy to think according to appearances. It's easy because we've been conditioned to live our lives through our 5 senses. But the hardest work in the world, the most laborious work in the world, is when you have to think truth, and truth is your desired results. The truth is a different experience, to think that despite everything else going wrong on the outside. And that's what I did. And I wanted to share that with you because you too can do the same. You can really control your reality by mastering this mini exercise when things are not going to your liking. And eventually, when you are able to do these micromanagement exercises when things are going wrong, eventually you close the gap. You do not incur those demonstrations anymore because you have mastered your consciousness to actually live in a certain state all the time. And when you can live in that state most of the time, then of course your outside world is going to reflect your thinking. So I'd love to hear your thoughts. Put them in the comments. And if you are new to my channel, please consider subscribing, because I'm all about changing your life by sharing my wisdom of experience. I mean, I have been trained by the best, the late legendary Mr. Bob Proctor. And it's an absolute honor, pleasure, and privilege to share his teachings, of course, with Neville's teaching, but Bob taught this as well from the stage. I'm just sharing what Bob taught me so that you can live a magnificent life. All right, my loves, I'll be back. Bye for now.